After decades on TV, Tom Silva just confirmed what everyone whispered about behind the scenes. And it's more touching than anyone expected. For nearly half a century, Tom Silva has been the sturdy beam holding up this old house. Generation after generation, weekend warriors, dreamers, and homeowners have gathered around their TVs or laptops to watch him do what he does best: build, repair, and teach with a calm confidence that makes you believe any project can be done if you just have the right tool and a little patience. But behind those safety glasses and that easy grin is a story most fans never got to hear, because Tom, like the houses he restored, kept some of his biggest truths hidden behind solid walls. And now, at 77, he's finally ready to open the door. Tom Silva wasn't born on TV, he was born on job sites. He learned the trade the old-fashioned way, working alongside his father and brothers on small renovations in their Massachusetts neighborhood. By the time he was a teenager, Tom knew how to lay a foundation, frame a wall, run electrical, and keep a crew in line. What he didn't know was that one day, the rest of the country would look to him as the man who made home improvement feel possible, and even a little magical. When this old house first aired in 1979, it wasn't meant to be a phenomenon. It was supposed to be a simple show about fixing up a rundown Victorian in Dorchester. But audiences saw something different. They saw authenticity, a ragtag team of real builders, not actors reading lines. They saw a future legend in a young Norma Bram swinging his hammer. And they saw Tom Silva, steady, unpretentious, never showy, but impossible to look away from if you loved the smell of sawdust. Over the years, Tom became more than just the master builder. He was the quiet heartbeat of the show. Fans wrote letters about how they wished he was their neighbor. They trusted his advice more than any glossy magazine or fancy contractor. He turned complicated renovations into understandable steps. He never lost his temper on camera, even when things went horribly wrong behind the scenes. But off camera, the rumors started to swirl. Some said Tom had health scares he never talked about. Some wondered how he stayed so loyal to the show for so long, even as producers came and went and the industry changed around him. Some whispered about the toll all those long days and late nights took on his family, and some just couldn't believe a man could spend 50 years building other people's dream homes without ever flaunting a mansion of his own. The truth, as Tom finally admitted in a rare sit-down interview this year, is both simpler and deeper than the gossip ever guessed. Yes, he's faced health scares. Working in construction for half a century does that to you. The back gives out, the knees ache, the eyes need more help than they used to. But Tom says what really kept him up at night wasn't the physical pain. It was the fear that one day he'd have to hang up his tool belt for good and leave behind the community that had become his second family. He talks about the times he almost quit, the times he sat on the porch of an old project house covered in plaster dust, wondering if he was too tired to keep going. He remembers missing birthdays, missing anniversaries, trying to balance being a good husband and dad while cameras waited for him to finish that last coat of paint before the sun went down. He knows some fans think he must be rich beyond belief. But the real payoff, he says, was never the money. It was the letters. Thousands of them over the years from people who built something because he showed them they could behind the scenes. Tom Silva was never just the friendly carpenter you saw on PBS. He was the problem solver, the peacemaker, the guy who'd quietly fix mistakes no one else wanted to admit on camera. Crew members who needed help on their own homes would find him, showing up with a truck full of tools on his day off. He'd show an apprentice how to make a perfect miter cut, then stand back and watch them shine. He was a teacher, whether the cameras were rolling or not. And yet, Tom admits there was one rumor that hit him harder than the rest. The idea that he didn't really build anything anymore, that it was all just TV magic. That stunned, he says. The truth is, every nail he drove, every beam he leveled, every renovation disaster he salvaged on screen was real. There were no stunt doubles in the world of this old house. Just a team that loved the craft so much, they'd tear it down and do it again if they had to get it right. But now at 77, Tom Silva knows he can't keep swinging the hammer forever. He talks about passing the torch, about the young apprentices who will carry his lessons forward. He talks about the grandkids who want to learn to build birdhouses in the backyard. He talks about his wife who's given up more nights and weekends than most people will ever understand. And he talks about how grateful he is that after all these years, people still care enough to ask him the hard questions. So, what's the biggest secret? Maybe it's that Tom Silva isn't a superhero. He's just a man who chose to spend his life fixing what was broken, making what was old new again, and reminding millions of us that with the right plan and a little patience, even the worst house on the block can become something beautiful. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real renovation we all need. So, the next time you see Tom Silva on your screen, hair a little whiter, hands a little more weathered, remember what he's finally confirmed. It was never about fame. It was about doing the job right, one nail at a time. And even now, as he says goodbye to the parts of the work that once defined him, Tom knows the real work is never really done, because every house, like every life, needs a steady hand and an honest heart. And that's something Tom Silva will always be, whether he's holding a hammer or just holding the door open for whoever wants to follow in his footsteps. Subscribe to Hollywood Untold for more emotional stories behind music legends and the feuds that shaped rock history. Tap the bell to never miss a beat.